Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Damn Podcast. I am your host, Angie Machado, and I am blurry, and I don't know what. There we go. And we are live. Fall camp has ended for Oregon State. I am joined, as always, with Davis Stone, Jake Hedberg, as we're going to recap some fall camp. Okay, I don't know why I keep going blurry. That's sorry, just disregard if you're watching this live. Hang on. We're gonna no, never mind. We gotta go. We're live, I guess. Never mind. Just ignore me. Lots to talk about, you guys. In that the Beavs finished fall camp. We have Cal next week. Let's talk a little bit about fall camp rewind, and then at the end, I'm going to quiz you guys a little bit. Not quiz, but get your season expectations, projections, some of that stuff as we start talking season ahead. So let's just kick things off with the offense. Jake, you kick us off. I'm going to try to get my camera working a little better. So let's start off with the quarterbacks. Just tell us what we've learned. And Davis, you can chime in as well.
Yeah, I think what we saw from the spring kind of carried over to the fall. We saw a clear number one quarterback and then a clear number two. The biggest question in the room is honestly the battle for the third spot between true freshman Tristan Tia and redshirt freshman Callan Guttridge. Just more of talking about the top two guys. I think what we saw from Malik Murphy was promising. He was a guy who came out and he showed consistency throwing the deep ball. He didn't really throw a lot of bad picks. There were a few that were picks, but there were, tip balls, things that just kind of didn't go his way. And then, what we saw to Jabari Johnson was, again, him looking a lot more comfortable. He was more progressive through his first read all the way down to his third or fourth, whereas, last season we kind of see him tuck the ball away some more. So I think it was positive to see that overall growth from the spring to the fall.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that sounds good. I'd say like with the battle for like the 3 spot. I mean, when I was at fall camp 2 weeks ago or whatever it was, I mean, I thought it was Tia, but reading the reports, it sounded like Guttridge finished fall camp like really well. He seemed to put it together a little bit more.
Yeah, I'd definitely say it's pretty close. And then turning over to the running backs, what were your general takeaways?
I think it's super deep. I mean, like Cornell, Corday, and Marquise Crosby all like seem very like serviceable, and like if we needed to put them in a game, they would produce.
Jake, who do you have as your number 3 at running back?
I feel like there's 3 guys kind of capable of taking that spot, but I feel like if I had to give the edge to one, I'd probably go Marquise Crosby. He's the most experienced. He probably has the most familiarity with Coach Pickering as well. Their dads grew up together, so there's that connection there. And he knows how Coach Pickering likes his running backs to play. He's a talented kid. He ran for damn near 1,000 yards as a true freshman in 22. So we know he's someone Oregon State can count on to tote the rock. The question is, can he stay healthy? Talking to him post-practice, that was kind of a big question mark. Was he's dealt with a lot of injuries, and his biggest goal for the season was to just get through a whole campaign at 100%. So hopefully he can stay healthy and take that third back role. If not, there's capable guys behind him as well.
Yeah, I mean, what we saw from Cornell Hatcher, I thought, had a really big fall camp this year. And then, like you said, Corday Glass, true freshman. I do expect to see him get some carries this season. How about wide receivers? There's been some shakeup, some guys getting dinged up, some guys injured. Jake, walk us through just that wide receiver room. Taz Reddick still standing out as one of the guys?
I think Davis's guy, I think Eddie Freehoff's had as good a camp as anybody has. He's a guy who I really didn't know what to expect from him. He didn't play a whole lot of football. He had all the physical tools, but we hadn't really seen him practice a whole lot. But this fall, he flipped the switch, and man, he looks like a future star. I mean, he's going up against some of Oregon State's top cornerbacks and still making some really great plays. He's a big physical kid. Be interesting to see how it plays out, in front of 30,000 fans instead of just the practice field. But everything we've seen from him shows the future is super bright. I think David Wells is a guy that is going to step up a lot this season. He's a fast guy. I think he's probably Oregon State's best deep threat offensively. He's a guy that's, capable of stretching the field. We saw that a little bit in the season opener last season, and now with a better quarterback, I feel like you could see some of that some more. And then, honestly, those younger guys, Malachi Durant, Pat Card, excited to see how they kind of step up and progress in taking on some bigger roles.
Yeah, so Davis's guy, Eddie Freoff, kind of like Jake's guy, Takari Hickle. So this is you see you've already set the standard here, Davis, as having a guy. Definitely one to watch. What about Carson Boschma?
Yeah,
he had a pretty good scrimmage. I know Saturday's scrimmage was not it was kind of the 2s and 3s going, but he actually really he passed the eyeball test.
Yeah, he's surprised. Oregon State does have a tradition of turning walk-ons into success stories, and I think he has the potential to be a pretty good one. He wasn't someone who we were really anticipating seeing time this season, but guys get banged up. At this point, it looks like he could end up playing. I think he's a good special teams guy as well, so I don't think it's out of the question that he gets some reps there. But he's a big kid. He's physical. I think he has the ability to play both outside and inside at slot. So having that versatility and that high football IQ is something that helps get you on the field. So overall, I've come away pretty impressed. As a walk-on kid from Tiger, it's always nice to see those homegrown products kind of take steps, and we'll see if he ends up actually getting some time.
Okay, so you're starting 3 right now. What do you have? David Wells? Do you have him joining?
Trent Walker, David
Taz
Wells,
Reddicks.
and Taz Reddicks.
Okay. How do you feel about that trio there, Davis?
I like it. I mean, obviously Trent Walker's the wide receiver 1. We saw that last year. And David Wells had I think it was week 3. I mean, he had a deep ball from Giovanni McCoy and scored. I think it was like a 60-yard touchdown. So it was a good deep threat. And Taz, I mean, working in the slot, showed great spring camp and fall camp. So I really like those 3.
Yeah, a lot of potential there. And is this the year that Zach Card and David Wells kind of take that next step? I think so. Derek? Yeah.
I think they've waited behind some guys, and I think this is the do or die year. I think it's their 3rd year in the program. They're the guys now. They're kind of more the veteran guys, as crazy as that sounds, only being sophomores, but they've been in the program. They're guys in a relatively young and a banged up receiver room that are going to have to step up.
Jimmy Balson, I know we talked about him before we went into fall camp. He's been limited. Do you expect to see him?
Not week 1.
Not week 1, yeah.
My guess at this point is if we haven't seen anybody practice, with it being, 11 days till kickoff?
Yeah.
He's a guy who I think, unless he gets banged up again, he's a guy who I do anticipate seeing at some point this season. I don't know how far away he is, but as of now, I would imagine Cal is probably off the table.
Yeah. So just if you're watching this, I was working on depth chart today. We will release our final projections, start tomorrow and Thursday on that. So it's kind of been a team effort getting that organized. So watch for that tomorrow on BeaverBlitz. Again, if you're not a member, now is a great time to join us. Our fall promo, 50% off promo is still ongoing. 50% off a full year of BeaverBlitz gets you an entire year, lodge, stories, behind the scenes for under $60. So definitely take time to join. We'd love to see you in the lodge. Okay, let's talk tight ends, because this is a deep, deep room. And I know we just heard from Coach Heck yesterday. Jake, who is standing out in that room?
There's a lot of guys. I think Bryce Caulfield is the clear tight end 1. I think he's taken big strides physically. He's a lot bigger. I think he's improved in the run game a lot more. Talking to him after practice, he said he thinks this is the best tight end group he's seen in his 5 years. And I mean, if you look back at it, his freshman and sophomore years had Team Toriano, Luke Musgrave, some pretty good tight ends. So Jack Milling as well. So I feel like that kind of speaks to how deep this group is. I feel like it's not necessarily as top heavy, but they've got 5 guys. I mean, you got Caulfield, you got Cooper Jensen, who looks to finally be at 100%. And he's a guy who I think is probably going to start. Riley Williams as well. You know, every fan I think wants to see him. Everyone's pretty high on him. He's a big kid, 6'5", 275. Jackson Bowers as well, a former 4-star recruit, and then Gabe Hilborn as well. You know, he's seen some time as more on special teams and as a blocking guy, but he's kind of flashed at times as a pass catcher, and I think he's a guy who could very well get some playing time. So it's a deep group, very, very well coached group, and I'm excited to see how they're utilized. You know, I think part of with the injury situation in the receiver room, I wouldn't be shocked to see some more 2 tight end sets to start the season.
That's what I was just going to ask you. You know, wide or offensive line has been a big question mark, I think, for us all since spring even. So do you think we see a couple, you know, see the Beavers go with 2 tight ends just to help in that blocking?
I mean, I think the blocking and the passing too, you know,
passing, yeah.
With how banged up the receiver room is and the potential unavailability of some guys, you know, and having a deep tight end room allows you to kind of be more flexible because, you know, guys like Caulfield and Jensen, they're big receivers. You know, they're pass catchers first. So that kind of it allows Coach Gunderson to have some more flexibility. So that's something I wouldn't be shocked to see depending on how healthy the receiver room stays.
How are we feeling about the offensive line?
You know, I think that's the big question. You know, feel confident in center with Van Wells. I feel like that's a pretty locked-in spot. Looks like Jacob Strand and Tyler Moreno are starting at tackle, and those guys that have started experienced, albeit not a lot of it, but they've kind of flashed in those limited action type roles. And then at guards, you have Nathan Elu and Ryan
Berger.
Yeah, Ryan Berger look like the 2 front runners. Ryan's a walk-on. I don't think he's played in the game, so that's kind of a concern. He has had a very good camp. Obviously, you want guys behind him like Volton and Sikorsky to get back up to full speed. When that happens, you know, they could push first spot, but as of now, that looks to be the 5 Oregon State's going to be, you know, running with. Stuff could change. We could get guys back before the first game, but as of now, that's how I kind of see things standing. And it's the question mark just because these guys don't have a lot of starting experience.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, how fast they gel and how quick they pick it up. I do like the fact that Jacob Strand and Tyler Moreno are back. I think that helps anchor those 2 ends, but the guard spots are kind of a still question mark. Let's talk a little defense because I don't want to take up the whole time. The past 3 weeks we've talked position by position, but I think it is good to kind of culminate what we've seen. But I do want to get to kind of 2025 as well. So let's talk defense. You know, we talked before camp started that if offensive line was the big question mark on offense, defensive line was the question mark on defense. Jake, I know you're super high on this D line. Talk us through kind of who you see stepping up, and there are a lot of bodies and a lot of experience there.
Yeah, I mean, I have a pretty clear top 4. Beyond that, availability is a concern. I feel like you've got your first group with Thomas Collins and Tavita Pomea. That appears to be pretty set. And you got Jacob Schuster and JoJo Johnson with that second group. Then beyond that, you got Taiji Hill. His availability is a question mark.
Mm-hmm.
Tajay Mullix, haven't seen a whole lot of him. Nick Norris still coming off a torn ACL from last spring. So they've got depth. But it's more about getting guys on the field. It got to the point last season the group was so thin. You had Sikorsky playing tackle, you had Sikorsky playing tackle. That can't happen again. So what they need is guys to get healthy, and the 4 guys that they've got to stay healthy, and that'll be key.
How about outside linebacker, Davis? I know this is an area you're pretty high on. What are your thoughts heading into the season with this outside linebacker group?
Excited about it. I mean, obviously you have Nico and Kai who are leading it, and super excited about Nico being back and just, he's going to be a great player. And I think Kai Wallen is similar to them. I mean, but I think it's a pretty deep group. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm blanking a little bit, but I know we have Shamar, we have
Zakaya,
yeah, both Zakaya,
Alfieri, yeah.
And then Takari Hickle as well.
And Hickle. Jake guy, Takari Hickle.
Yeah, and with that depth, I mean, I think you could have, I mean, God forbid, a couple guys go down and still be all right with the players we have.
Yeah,
the length. I like the length there.
At this point, I think that's by far the deepest group on the Oregon State roster.
Yeah. There's and we talked about it a little last week, and that last year with all the injuries, it forced these guys, to grow up quick. Now this year, what that was a negative last year is now a positive, because all those guys now have playing experience, and there's a lot more comfort in the system. Just like that, inside linebacker has seen some changes as well. Dexter Foster is the kind of the force that's still there. Jake, how do you like this group? I think there's a clear-cut 4 right now. Micaiah Tongue, we don't know his status right now. He was part of that 4, but what is your thought there? Dexter Foster, Rajon Davis, Cord Shaw, and Aiden Sullivan. Is that your top 4?
Yeah, I got a pretty clear top 4 at this point. I think Dexter Foster and Rajon Davis are your 2 starters. That part's pretty clear to me. I'd expect to see. I think Aiden Sullivan's established himself as that clear number 3. He'll be a guy that rotates a lot. And then you got Cord Shaw, Jairus Goodman, and Tyree Blake as guys all fighting for that 4th spot. I'd probably lean Cord Shaw taking that right now, but I feel like there's 3 feel pretty comfortable in. Then beyond that's more of guys that are haven't played a whole lot. So hopefully it's a group that can stay healthy, because it is relatively thin.
Let's talk defensive backs, because that's a group too. Last week we kind of talked about how they've really cross-trained those guys. So they are learning how to play all 3 positions: corner, safety, and nickel. How does that group shape up now? What are your thoughts on that group, Jake?
Yeah, just curious to see which 5 they go with. There's lots of candidates. I think Exodus Ayers is pretty cemented at one corner. I think Jaleel Tucker is probably the other corner. And then you got Skylar Thomas at one safety. And then my kind of biggest question is, Tyrese Ivy is going to be a starter, just a question of where. Does he start at safety, or do they bump him into play nickel? Remember, he came to Oregon State as a cornerback.
Yeah.
So he's got that ability. He's a big physical kid as well, who can cover those big tight ends, and he can support the run. So I feel like the nickel is the best spot for him, and that allows Jaheim Patterson to slot back at the second safety spot. He's a guy who, by my count, after yesterday, I think he picked off his 4th pass of the spring. So he's just been a ball hawk back there. He's a physical guy too. I think that 5 is probably your best 5. I could see Sive Hinderali, slotting in at corner.
He played nickel last year, right?
He was our starter, but he's a guy who, with Tyrese, his best path to playing time may end up being the cornerback spot across from Exodus Ayers. Then you got guys beyond that. You got Kobe Singleton, who's been cross-training at corner and nickel. You got Trey Glass, and then White, who's had 2 picks and 2 scrimmages. He's had a really good camp as well. So it's a deep group with a ton of options. I think ideally they stay healthy, and that's a group that's going to, rotate a decent amount. I think there's 9 to 10 guys the staff feels comfortable in throwing out there.
Jaheim Patterson, that's one of my guys. I was so impressed when he came in last year. I just liked his length. I mean, because he had the length of like an outside linebacker. Yeah. But go ahead.
I personally think this is going to be Oregon State's best secondary since 22. And that includes the 23 secondary that had Keaton, Coop, Jamal McCoy, and J-Rob. I think this is a group that could be even better than that.
Well, and Coach Bray mentioned the other, a week ago, that this could be the best inside linebacker group he's had since 22.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that is Dexter Foster and how good he really could be.
So defense, there's some stuff to be excited about. Is defensive line still your biggest concern, you two? Davis, we'll start with you.
For the defense, yeah, I'd say it definitely is, but it's not a huge concern in my opinion. I think if you have to pick a concern on the defense, it's them, just because I think our secondaries are probably, in my opinion, I think it's our best position.
Blue manga anime, is Noble Thomas healthy? He has not
He's
been
close.
back yet. Is he?
He's close. He should be back close. He's about a year off the injury. He got hurt game 1 last year, so I'd imagine probably won't be ready for Cal. But I think Noble Thomas is a guy that you'll probably see towards the tail end of the season, and he's a guy who, if healthy, will see playing time.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking back. I mean, Noble Thomas, Nick Norris on the D line. I mean, he was a mid-fall camp guy last year, so some of these guys should be getting close.
Yeah, and then we did see Zacchaeus Sasias and Takar Hickel return to practice on Monday, which was a great sign. Hopefully they are good to go for Cal because those two can both affect the game in a lot of ways. So
yeah, Zacchaeus, this isn't like top secret knowledge here. Zacchaeus talked about it because he had been practicing in an orange non-contact jersey early, but he had a torn labrum. So he had surgery on that in the offseason to repair that. So he is back, though, 100%, he said. And, okay, again, one of my favorites right now because I love his interviews. There's no way to watch an interview from Zacchaeus and not smile because his outlook is so positive. Okay. We have run through that. You guys have heard us talk now for 3 weeks about the depth chart and the first team, second team, kind of our thoughts. So I think overall, we're all, it is what it is. We feel confident with the guys. I think defense especially is going to be something to watch. How much better, Jake, do you see this defense being than last year's defense? And a lot of, there's a lot of reasons for that, but just experience, different coach. How do you see that all playing out?
I see them being leaps and bounds better, and I think the biggest factor is having Trent Bray back over as defensive coordinator. He is, in my mind, the best defensive mind on the West Coast. We saw the difference immediately in 2021 from Tim Tibesar to Trent Bray taking over as defensive coordinator. I think you're going to see something like that again. If they can stay healthy up front, it is going to be a very good defense. You're going to see a lot of different looks. You're going to see a lot of different coverages and blitzes and disguises. It's going to be a defense that reminds you of the 22 and 23 defenses.
Okay, you heard it there. We are going to take a quick break for the podcast side, and then we're going to come back, and I'm going to quiz you guys. We're going to talk game by game and some of your preseason superlatives. So we'll be right back. Again, if you're not a member, BeaverBlitz.com is where you go for all the action, the behind the scenes and the message board where we post other information that isn't out on Twitter or for the main public. Join BeaverBlitz now, save 50% off an annual subscription with our fall camp promo. We'll be right back to talk about the 2025 season. Okay, welcome back to the second half of the damn podcast. We have a lot of damn questions I'm going to get to you guys as well, but I want to have some fun because we have talked so in depth here about the team, and I think our listeners have a really good grasp of who's going to be playing, what that team is going to look like, and kind of what to expect when they line up against Cal a week from Saturday. But let's talk a little season here. And I know we will be releasing our BeaverBlitz staff picks with the entire BeaverBlitz staff, but I want to just kind of go game by game. Get your thoughts because I can see this. There's 2 games in my mind that are, I think, going to be really, really tough. And then there's a couple that I'm kind of questioning. So let's just start with Cal. Jake, what do you think? Is that a win? Is that a loss?
I think it's going to be I think we're playing Cal at the right time. I think their true freshman quarterback, Jaren Sagapolotele, I think I got that right.
I think so.
Is in my mind, one of the better quarterbacks I've seen in the prep ranks the last couple of seasons. I think he's going to be a hell of a quarterback. Getting him game 1 at Hoosier Stadium, I think, is huge because he's going to grow so much throughout the season. But having your first game be a night game at Hoosier Stadium facing a Trent Bray defense is going to be very difficult. I think it's a Cal team that lost a lot, which is kind of a continuity of Oregon State's schedule this year. Not necessarily just the players, but they lost coaches as well. They've got a new offensive coordinator in Brian Harrison and a new defensive coordinator as well. So it's going to be a new look team. They lost pretty much their whole offense. They returned a few studs on defense, but overall, I just think Oregon State's offensive talent is going to be too much. And I think the game last season left a bad taste in a lot of guys' mouth, and I think the Beavers are going to come back and win pretty convincingly. I think it's going to be a 10, 13-point game.
Okay, Davis, is this a win or a loss?
I've marked it down as a win. And, I mean, like you said, they've lost a lot of offense. I think I remember seeing something that was like 6 running backs. And
Yeah.
like their whole running back room is gone. So, I mean, yeah, like he said, like game 1 is perfect for them, or perfect for us to play them. I mean, they don't have experience together, like playing actual games.
So I have a question, because this was a damn question, but I think this is a good time to ask it. How, you guys are students or just graduated student, how will the student section be game 1 against Cal?
I think it'll be.
Will it be full, or will it be?
I think it'll be like a good amount. I don't know if super full, but it is a big opponent, like an ACC team. So I do think will be a good show up.
I think a big draw will be, this is the first, outside of U of O, it's the first Pac-12 team to come back.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. I think it's a night game. The students will have lots of time for daytime activities. So hopefully they're there and they're loud, because the team is going to need them behind them.
So I don't want to be the Debbie Downer here, but this is one I felt could go either way. I'm old and I have a lot of kind of old PTSD, but I've seen too many freshman quarterbacks come and light the Beavs up at home. I saw Willie Tuitama do it. Saw Jaden DeLaura. There's been a few. So I actually had this one as a close loss, but I think it fires and fuels the team up for the rest of the season. I know that was a hard one, but that's what I picked, and I'm not going to change it on this and be something different in my staff pick. So I'm going to just go with my hunch there. Okay. The very next week, another home game, Fresno State comes to town. Davis, what do you got?
I have this as another win. Okay. Don't know much about their team, but I think we are the better team from, what I've seen in fall, and then just in general as a program. I think we just have.
Yes. That's a good note for our viewers and listeners. We are doing this all we've done a little research but we really dive in the week of the game. So nobody's holding this against you, Davis, because we've been too busy covering Oregon State right now. So it's a win. It's a win. Davis has a win. Jake?
Yeah, again, it's a program with a ton of change. They have a brand new coaching staff, brand new quarterback as well. The son of Kurt Warner is their starting quarterback. Their coach, Matt Entz, was the head coach at North Dakota State, so he's a hell of a coach. He's a good coach. Ton of question marks. It's a relatively new roster. Lost a lot. I think they'll come out, will be well coached. I think they might play us a little closer in the first half, but I think eventually Oregon State's talent is just going to elevate and take away. Mm-hmm. Again, I think it's a game the Beavers probably take by 2 scores.
I have this as a win because I think they come out after a close loss to Cal and are kind of pissed off. So I see this as a big win for them. Digital Dan says he thinks they start 2-2 and then reel 7 straight wins and then lose a tough one on the road in Pullman. Definitely a possibility. And then we have Jared Hooper. Fresno State is preseason 5th in the coaches poll.
Take coaches poll with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Okay. Then the Beavs hit the road for a tough game at Texas Tech. Jake, we'll let you start this one.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough environment. It's going to be a rowdy place. Texas Tech did just lose their starting tailback, Quentin Joyner, for the entire season, so that was a big loss for them. I think it's a team that is very talented. They've got a lot of money behind that program, and they went out and got probably the best transfer portal class. Now, will that translate to the field? It'll be kind of interesting to see how they gel, bringing in really an entire new team, guys with a lot of money, a lot of egos potentially that could cause some issues. I'm not sold on Joey McGuire as a head coach. They've had some talented teams that haven't been as successful as they should, but this is ultimately a game I see Texas Tech taking. I think they are a very talented team and a sleeper for the college football playoff. if they live up to what I think they could be this year, I think it's going to be a game that the Beavers drop by a score to.
Okay, Davis, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this was a toss-up for me, and I just looked it up. They went 4-3 last year at home, but they beat BYU, which was a good team last year. So it is a toss-up, but I think the Beavs pull it.
You're gonna go with the win in Lubbock.
I'm a very optimistic person.
We'll need to get you and Peter Riley Osborne together because I think I didn't look. I think he actually chose like every year. It's like clockwork. He has the Beavers going 12-0 in the stat picks. So I don't think you're that optimistic, if I recall, but we'll see. I actually have it as a loss. I think it's a closer than some think. But I do think on the road, Beavs have struggled on the road from time to time. So I think that one is an L. The next week, so two teams, they go back to back playing two of maybe the two like highest paid NIL teams back to back, as then they go on the road to Eugene and take on the Ducks. Davis?
No comment. No. I mean, it's just too tough. Like they're just too good. I mean, I hate saying that. I hate the Ducks, but I do think that we lose this game.
Jake?
I feel like Kirk Herbstreit out here on College Game Day.
I know, right?
Not
so fast.
Yeah, I wish. It's a tough place to play. The last time Oregon State beat Oregon at Alton, I was 4 years old. And I'm 22 now, so it's been a while. I feel like it's going to be a game that's closer than people think. I also think Oregon's kind of due to take a step back. I still think they'll be a pretty good football team, just not what they were last season. I think it's a game that's close at halftime, but I feel like the home field advantage at Autzen paired with the overall depth and talent, particularly up front, is going to be the difference in this game. And I see the Ducks taking it in a close game that kind of puts the nation on alert that Oregon State can still compete.
Okay. This one I think is a loss. I just think with where we're at right now, I think, again, this is win and loss in the trenches. And that's, my two question marks kind of this year are Oregon State's offensive and defensive line. I think if Oregon is the contender they think they are in the Big Ten, I think that'll be tough for Oregon State. So that one I have as a loss. Okay, the Beavs get to come home then, and they take on a decent Houston team. What do you guys got on that one?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a huge. I think it's going to be a season-defining game. I feel like the consensus is Oregon State's probably going to come out of this stretch 2-2. So this is the point where do you make those two losses motivate you and flip a switch, or do you just fall apart? Having Trent Bray as head coach, I feel like he's going to light a fire under this team. Houston's a team that has two new coordinators and a new quarterback, albeit a very talented QB. But I think Oregon State, Friday night game, students are back. That place will be rocking. I think Oregon State gets it done and gets their season on the right trajectory.
Okay, Davis?
Yeah, this will be the first game that students are in Corvallis and living there because school will be started up. So I do think Reser will be packed, and I agree. I think that will affect the game in a major way, and we take the dub.
Take the dub. I have it as a dub too, so that should be a fun one. Then the Beavs hit the road to App State, all the way across the country to Boone, North Carolina. Davis, which way are you going on that one?
This
Optimist?
I am, but this was my loss.
Okay.
I could see it happening. I mean, don't know much about them, but I do think I don't know why, but
traveling that far is tough. I have it as an L too, just because I think traveling across the country, time zones, all the stuff. I think it's tough.
They've pulled out a few last minute game
winning
touchdowns the past couple seasons. So yeah.
Jake, what do you got?
Yeah, no, I think it's gonna be tough travel wise. It's a program that lost a lot. They had a down year relative to their standards. They're bringing in an entire brand new coaching staff and a brand new quarterback as well. I think they're going to go with AJ Swan, who started at Vanderbilt and then backed up at LSU. I don't think he's great, But then again, I could be wrong. I ultimately see Oregon State being too talented if they stay healthy. I see the Beavers taking a close game on the road by 3 points or less.
Okay. Rip City says, I'm taking the Beavs to win one of those 2 games against Texas Tech and U of O. There you go. He's in Team Davis optimist mode right there. Okay, so after App State, the Beavs come home for a 4-game homestand, starting off with Wake Forest. Jake, Demon Deacons, Beavs win, Beavs lose.
I mean, again, brand new coaching staff, brand new quarterback. I don't think any of their quarterbacks are great. They got Robbie Ashford, who is somehow still in college. I think he was a freshman in college when I was in middle school. And then they got Deshaun Purdy, who was the starter at Charlotte and completed less than 50% of his passes. So I think this is a team that Oregon State is going to be able to get after relatively well. They do have one of the top tailbacks in the country in DeMond Claiborne. But, I think Oregon State's going to do it for the Pac-2 mate, Washington State, and take down Jake Dicker and the Demon Deacons.
Oh, that's right. Jake Dicker is the coach.
Yeah.
And you could flip the script from the Beavs heading all the way to the East Coast to play at App State. Now,
same deal.
Wake Forest coming all the way over. I have this as a win as well. Davis, how about you?
I have it as a win. I mean, any game at Reser, we have a crazy. Oh my goodness! We have such a better chance at Reser. Just the atmosphere there. And
Rip City says Beavs by 3 touchdowns for our Pac-2 brethren. In the lodge last week, somebody had actually posted that Oregon State should run a ticket promo for Washington State season ticket holders and sit them right behind the visiting bench. Be kind of fun. Get a bunch of kooks in there. And Keith OSU says, go Beavs. Hey, Keith, glad you're back and had a great time watching DJ, Uyangalele, and those Saints, all those Beavers with the Saints. Jake, he says you need to shut your blinds because it looks like you're an angel.
It's also not my room. It's not.
You're kind of glowing. You have this aura around you.
Not my room.
Not his room. Okay. So after the Beavs beat Wake Forest, then they get to play Lafayette at home. I have it as a W. What do you got, Jake?
Here, not much to say.
Not much, yeah. Davis?
W.
Then this is my game of the season right here. Next is Washington State coming to play at Reser. I have this one as a win. I think this is, like I said, the game. This is the new rivalry. Davis, what do you got on this one?
I have a win. I mean, we beat them last year, and I think they've gotten worse. I don't know who they've brought in exactly, but they lost their coach. They're in the same situation we were in last year, and I think we've just gotten much better. So I have this as a win.
And Reser at home again. There's the X factor. Jake?
Yeah, I think what happened to Oregon State last season happened to Washington State this season. They just got decimated because of a coach who was chasing dollar signs. I think it's going to be a physical team that's going to take on that South Dakota State style of football. Lost a lot, brand new coaching staff. Zeviakis should be their quarterback, and he flashed against Syracuse in the Holiday Bowl. So that's area for concern. But playing at home, again, I think it's going to be too much. It's I think it's the military appreciation games, so
yes.
It should be flyover. That should be good. I got the Beavs by a touchdown or 2.
Okay, then the Beavs host their final home game, senior day against Sam Houston. Don't know a lot about Sam Houston, but I'm going with the W.
Yeah, it's, again, brand new coaching staff, brand new quarterback. Stop me if you've heard that before.
Oh, gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah, and that's not done either.
Yeah.
I think it's a win.
Yeah, I have it as a win, but I did see something a couple weeks ago. They did go 10-3 last year, which they're not in an awesome conference, but that is something to.
They lost a lot.
Yeah, so I mean, and it's college football is different every year. So,
okay,
yes, this is a win.
Then the Beavs go on the road at Tulsa. Davis, what do you got for that one?
I've marked it as a win.
No, I don't believe it. Jake, what do you got?
Again, another brand new coaching staff with a brand new quarterback. Don't really know a whole lot about Trey Lamb. I know he's been successful. He's a pretty young coach, a scratch golfer as well. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, wow. That's pretty impressive.
But turning the football side of things, this program has been one of the weaker ones at the FBS level the past couple of seasons. I don't see that changing in year one. I see Oregon State taking a win.
I have it as a win as well. And that leads up to the final game of the season, a road game against Pac-2 brother Washington State. I have this one as a loss. This is the one I think Washington State can get, when you play a team twice in one season, they can maybe get your number. It's in Pullman. It's Thanksgiving weekend. So Pullman will be probably pretty quiet, but I did pick this one as a close loss. Jake, what do you got?
Yeah, I had the same thing. I think playing a team twice is really difficult. I think Washington State, like I said earlier, is a team that is going to be very physical. It's kind of what we saw from Jimmy Rogers' teams at South Dakota State. It's going to be a ground and pound team. Playing the game in late November in Pullman, it's going to be really cold. And then again, we saw what Oregon State did to a better Washington State's team last season, and I kind of think I wouldn't be shocked to see it happen again. But with the roles reversed, so I wouldn't be shocked to see Washington State take a close game over Oregon State.
Davis, what do you got?
Yeah, this is a close game. And like you said, it is hard to beat a team twice, but I think it comes down to the position that the teams are in. I think from what I've been saying, we will be a good team and have a lot of wins. And at that point,
a lot to play for.
And I don't see Washington State having that same, that many wins. And maybe if they're at 5 wins to get to a bowl game or something, just a better bowl game, I think we have more, I think this game is more important to us. I have it as a win, but it is a close one.
Okay, there you go. Okay, I got a couple more questions. This is Jake's last damn podcast, so we won't take his answers. I won't write them down, but I'm writing Davis's down. Next week, I think I'm going to try to get us joined with Spencer Newell. So he's been doing some special features for us. He spent a couple of days with men's basketball, so we'll have some features on that. So we'll try to get him on the pod as well. But I'm going to write down Davis's here because we're going to take a look back later. But I want to know, we're going to just go through some of the MVP, most improved kind of thing. Who do you have, Davis, as your offensive MVP this year? Preseason. Your preseason offensive MVP.
From fall camp, who do you
envision will be your
It is, for me, it's between Malik and Hankerson, but I'm going to say Hankerson.
Okay. Jake, you got a preseason offensive MVP?
Hank.
I'm going with Malik because I think if your quarterback is solid, it's going to make Hank and everything better. Defensive MVP. Jake, you can go first on this one.
Dexter Foster. I was leaning towards Skylar Thomas preseason, but I feel like Dex is going to have a big year.
Okay. Davis, who do you got?
I've said it. I'm going to say it again. I think Nico Taylor.
I said Nico Taylor as well. I think if Nico has the kind of year I think we think he can, the sack numbers will be completely different than last year. Okay. Most improved. Davis.
Ooh, from the beginning to the end of the season?
Yes.
Okay. I will say I think it'll be on the offense, and I think it will be Riley Williams.
Okay. Jake, you got a pick for this?
Most improved. I'm going to go Jaheim Patterson.
Okay.
I don't know if that qualifies as improved. I feel like he more qualifies as a breakout type guy, but I'm counting that as improved.
Okay. Yeah, I had Zakiya Saiz. I just think he's going to be, by the end of the season, going to be big time. Ben Smith in the comments says, I've got a mortgage payment on OSU minus 2.5 versus Cal. Okay, I hope you win. Freshman of the year, new freshman.
Are we counting headshirt freshman or true freshman?
I was thinking just true freshmen, but let's include redshirt freshmen as well, because it's
I
hard
get-
for a true.
Yeah. I mean, I guess doing both true freshman Trey Glasper,
Okay.
redshirt freshman Eddie Freehoff.
Okay.
Taking
Davis,
my
what do you got?
guys.
Yeah.
Taking my
Well,
guys.
I'm gonna have to say Davis is gonna go Eddie because that's his guy.
Yeah, but Trey Glasper.
Oh, that's your other guy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's fine. And then how about newcomer of the year? So one of the transfers.
Malik.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty easy.
Yeah,
pick.
you know, since you guys both said Malik, I won't say him, even though my pick is Malik. I think Kai Wallen.
Kai Wallen is a good pick as well. He's gonna, and I think Rajon Davis has a big year as well. I think and then Jaleel Tucker has really kind of wowed us too. There's a lot of newcomers there. I think are going to. I think Beaver Nation is going to be pleasantly surprised by some of those guys. Okay, we have a few damn questions. We answered a few throughout. Okay, you got another one
that's on there. What do you guys think is your position group of the
position
season?
group.
I say
two. I've got your coach of the year and position group. Of the year.
Okay.
my position group would be defensive back, specifically just cornerbacks.
Okay.
And my coach of the year would be, I want to say Bray because I picked defense, but I think Gundy will just take a step from last year. I think the offense will just be way better and electric.
Who do you got, Jake?
You know, in terms of position group, I think outside linebackers. I think they're deep. I think they're physical. I think they're going to improve the sack numbers. I see a question from Keith down there. It says, last season we got 7 sacks all year. How many weeks into the 2025 season do you think it will take to surpass that? I think with how good that outside back group is, I think it'll take 2 weeks.
Wow. Okay. 2 weeks.
I think you get 2 weeks. And then turn into a coach of the year. I feel like if Oregon State's as successful as we had them, I think I had them 9-3, Angie and Davis 10-2 or 9-3. I think that's going to come down to offensive line. So that's why I think if that happens, you have a good offensive line, and that's when Coach Cav is what we know he can be.
Coach Cav has the toughest job of anyone on the staff.
Yeah.
I'm torn. I think the DBs are going to be the position group of the year. I also can see the point Jake made. Offensively, I don't want to. Like I said, I do think defense is where it's going to be, but I'm trying to be different here. And I'm going to say quarterback. I think Malik Murphy I think it's going to be the biggest turnaround from last year to this year. I think our Oregon State passing game is going to be way, way better. I like your pick, Jake, on Coach Cav, because if they have the season that you guys pick, Coach Cav has done a hell of a job. I'm going with the pick that is Coach Bray, because I think that is going to be the X factor this year. I think the defense is that much better. So I think, and he would probably deflect all of that and put it on his position coaches, but he is now defense coordinator. So, okay, we got some damn questions, but good additions there, Jake. Okay, we got some damn questions from the lodge. If you're watching this live and you have a question, throw it in. I guess I lost my light. I guess it's not plugged in. Okay. Drops have been an issue. Are there any specific players that have stood out for having drops, wide receivers?
Wouldn't say so. It got better towards the end of camp. It was more of a start thing, which again can be attested to, getting pads back on. It's different catching in pads and a helmet than it's on air. Not too worried.
I see Keith has another one now, just a follow-up. He said, wow, we only had 7 passing TDs last year, too. I would give it only a few weeks to improve that one as well.
I'm giving that one 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Davis?
Yeah, I like that.
You think 3? God, you think, with Texas Tech and Oregon?
Well, Texas Tech, Hucks aren't until game 4. So
yeah.
3 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think we'll have a good amount in the first 2 games, so it'll be easier and
okay, true. And I hear it, Jay. The drops were a little more prevalent early on, but I think they've gotten better. dust in the wind now that depth chart is becoming clearer. Maybe top 3 impact freshmen. Also, to touch on Elijah Washington, we haven't seen a lot of him. I don't expect him to see.
No, he's been banged up.
Yeah, he's been banged up. But top 3 impact freshmen. Who do
Trey
you got?
Glasper, Corday Glass. I'm gonna go David Madison.
Okay, that you know what, that I think has been the biggest surprise. Is him. Okay, Davis, who do you have?
Trey Glasper. I do like Madison a lot. So, yeah, I'll say, and I think our defense will be the best, best group. So I'll say Glasper, Madison, and who else? We doing true freshmen?
True freshman.
Okay. Then, I mean, he said it. I think Corday Glass just has the best chance of or actually, I won't say that. I'll say Nick Fisher.
So I was going to go with Nick Fisher to add to that list because D-line always gets banged up, and I think he sees the field. And then the other, my dark horse is Blue Dantzler. That's my dark horse. Squeaky clean. Is the fact that so many players are still out or limited concerning you heading into week 1? The depth could be sketchy, and it will be all hands on deck with power for opponent coming to resurf.
I mean, injuries are a thing that both teams deal with.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
I actually, you guys, I talked to a former player, and I let him know kind of different players that get hurt, and every time, even if it's like a guy you expect to start, I mean, his response is the same. It's both teams are dealing with injuries. No, there's not one team in America that isn't dealing with one of their starters going down. It's just the way it is. So, I think they're starting to get healthier, though. Jake, don't you think?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of these injuries are a year out or close to 15 months out, and they're just slowly getting closer. You got Volton, Sikorsky, Thomas, just 3 that come to mind as guys who've been working through it and are super close. They're almost there, and just a matter of time until they're fully there.
Got it. Okay, Michael P52. 2 questions. How did this year's fall camp compare to last year's fall camp operationally? More or less team, more or less drills, more or less tackling, etc. Jake, you were there both years. What do you got?
In terms of tackling?
I mean, is there more or less team sessions, more or less drills, more or less
it's
tackling?
about the same. There's really not a huge tackling emphasis in live tackling, which is also to keep guys healthy. If you can, the way Trent teaches it is, the bags, it translates. I don't see a whole lot of difference from year 1 to 2. If anything, I would say there's more of a difference on situations, but even then there was still a heavy emphasis on that at times last season. Another thing maybe is passing in the red zone, because that was an issue at times last season. But overall it was relatively similar.
I thought the intensity was bigger.
Intensity was worse.
Yeah.
Intensity was bigger.
He also, his second question, with Bray and others placing comparisons to the 2022 squad, how do you guys see this team compared to 2022? Similarities, differences?
I think the swagger defensively is going to be similar. I feel like they're not as good. That was a 10-win team in the loaded Pac-12.
Yeah.
That was a top 15 team in the country. I don't think this is a top 15 team in the country. I think it's a weaker offensive line. If you look at the offensive line that team had with Tolley, Josh Gray, you had some high-level guys as backups on that team. I feel like the passing game could actually be better, although that's not really saying much because there wasn't much presence of a passing game that season. The run game, I feel like, is going to be pretty similar. Really I feel like the trenches are a step back. I feel like that defensive line was really good with guys like James Rawls, Sione Lolohea, Simon Sandberg as well. So that team had some dudes on it up front. I feel like we've got talented guys, just guys who might not reach that level just because of how inexperienced they are.
Yeah. In the comments, Blue Magna Anime, how many sacks does Taylor get this year? He had 2.5 last season.
I think we'll get over 5.
Okay. I was just going to say, is he over 5?
I think a big part is how much of it do they rotate, because they're capable of rotating a lot to where it's more multiple guys with 5 or 6. If it was just like Pico and Kai playing, I could see them each pushing for 8 or 9 sacks, but I feel like there's going to be a ton of rotation. But I think I would imagine over 5.
Okay. Davis, you agree with that?
Yeah, I was thinking like when he said 2.5, I was thinking like my line for it would be 5.5.
Yeah.
So like
I was going to ask, 5. Okay, so in this one, I'm sorry we don't have an answer, but wanting to know when the Beaver store will update their list of NIL player jerseys. So I'm not sure on that. Just keep checking back. But that does it. So Jake, hey, best of luck in your new endeavors.
Thank you.
Maybe we'll get you to pop on every once in a while. We could have you pop on as a special guest. But Jake has done fantastic for us the past 2 years. He's going to do great in his next role. He will announce that shortly, where he's going. I'm super proud of him. He's grown a ton. If you've been with us here in the damn podcast and at BeaverBlitz, he's grown a ton over the past couple years. But I'm also super excited to bring Davis on. Davis, great things ahead for you and for BeaverBlitz, and gonna have some great podcasts and some great stuff at BeaverBlitz. So if you're not a member, again, 50% off is the time to join right now. And like I said, I'm Angie. He's Jake. He's Davis. And we'll be back next week for another episode of the Damn Podcast.